find that it's worn out a little bit because it'll just look like an old one. And all it has to do is look like some old lady made it. And I'm satisfied.
What do you think? What do you think that I can't even sew a button? I mean, I could sew a button, but for some reason I can't bring myself to sew a button, and I will take it to a seamstress to have the button sew it on, to have the seamstress sew it on for me. There's something about sewing.
The word is aversion. You have an aversion for feminine activities.
No, not all feminine activities.
Okay, name some feminine activities that you do. You like to cook?
No.
Do you like to iron?
No.
Do you like to wash clothes?
Yes.
Do you like to keep house?
I like to vacuum, and I like to keep house, and I like everything to be clean. I like to disinfect everything so everything has no germs.
Well, you see, basically, you in your many decades of life, gradually, you were broken into being able to do vacuuming.
I like to vacuum.
Do some housekeeping.
And
you needed somebody, a grandmother or somebody to teach you how to cook or how to sew.
And my grandmother was a professional seamstress, but she did all the sewing, so I never had to do sewing.
Did you love your grandmother?
I loved my grandmother.
Well, both my mother and grandmother were seamstresses, and my mother is a seamstress on a highly artistic level, and she's an intellectual. And she loves her sewing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She makes all her clothes. She always has.
She does?
Oh, she knows all about it.
Oh, my gosh.
She belongs to a special international sewing society.
Oh, David, I didn't know that.
And of course, they did all my sewing for me. And then when I went out into the world, like you, in my 20s and 30s, if I wanted something sewed, I would take it home to them. But after a while, they didn't want to do it for me anymore. And so I started using these professional people. And I tell you, every so often, I come upon some old garments of clothes that I had worked on by these professionals. And the work is dreadful. It's just dreadful. And I learned how to sew by being forced to repair my old-fashioned antique clothes. And otherwise, if I didn't have that need, I couldn't give these antique clothes to these tailors because they just do horrible work. It requires love. Well, that's what they say about everything. You know, if you want something done well, if you want the food to be really delicious, there has to be love in it.
And you love to make your bed.
Well, it's the least I can do. It's what I do when I wake up. And my bed is, I consider it an art exhibition. And the making of the bed.
What is this crown on your pillow?
That's my crown that I had made for charity.
Really?
Yes, because these Russians had been dispossessed in Siberia, and they didn't have any money. And so, these young Russians had come to Ireland and were selling these little tiny boxes in order to raise money to send back to these dispossessed people in Siberia. And so I loved the way the boxes were done, and I said to them, you should make me a crown. And so that was my idea. And so I have my own crown now.
What is that beautiful vase over there?
The vase? With the picture on it?
Yes.
Well, I suppose you could call it a photographic vase. It was a process
Actually, I'm looking at the woman, but now I just
the
went on to
woman?
I just went to the man. That's the one you're talking about, right? That's a nice one too.
Well, I don't know. It's probably the other one is a classical revival vase from the 19th century. I would date it earlier than later. I mean, if I had to guess the date on it, I'd say 1850. Could be later, but I got a feeling it's earlier. Maybe it is even earlier.
Does your phone?
All right, so now I finished this part of it.
Okay.
And I made the tube. And there are some bad spots on it where it's broken through, but I can mend those. And then out here, there were about four pillows. And they kept just recovering the pillows. And the most inner pillow is this one with this old stuffing. Now, I think this stuffing, I'm just going to just use it.
This is almost like planting roses.
You know, it's got a lot of dust in it. But,
And then you're going to put it in front of the door for the drafts?
See, because this pillow, and see, meanwhile, and then I love this fabric, this very early print. Now, this looks to me to be from maybe 1900, this inner pillow. And so this was so basically it was a 1900 pillow that they began recovering and recovering because it was wearing out, the fabric. And what I'm hoping is then after I can wash this, I mean, really, normally somebody would get new stuffing and wouldn't use this old stuffing. But since it's for a door sealer, I don't think it matters, you know, for the draft.
I wanted to take the picture of my hair on the back. And here's David's little dog that he loved and took with him. How many years did you take your dog with you?
What?
Your little dog on your bed? Your little stuffed dog? He's so darling.